It's time to lay out a little information for you guys. Maybe some of you have been oblivious to this as it was going on and so unaware to it that you haven't even noticed that it is working its way into all of your psyches and totally having its effect on you. Any type of information you as an individual man in this world that needs help with some type of anything is at the tips of your fingers, onto your phones, onto your screens. The vast internet has everything that you could possibly need. So much so that it has gotten to a point in this great time we are in where you don't need to be so reliant on yourself. Just have your devices, have the information you look up, have all that. Provide reliance within you. Let it just take over you. There's no need anymore. Anything you need is at the tips of your fingers. It's just a click away. There's no need to fully rely with yourselves. There's no need for your own judgments to convince yourself of anything. You can find the answer and be convinced even more clearer. Just really think about it. Anything you need to know is right there. You'll be infinitely smart listening to other people who have more articulate views than you do, who are more intelligent, a lot better looking than you. Just fully let that information be your reliance. If you have any trouble within this world, look up the answer. Go with the answer. If you don't like that answer, find another answer within that vastness of the internet. Let it rely for you. Let it rely for you. Don't rely on yourself. Reddit. Guys. Let's go over a couple things. So let me just spit off a couple of examples and let's see if we can fill these pieces in correctly. Let's say you never really go out, but all of a sudden you meet someone, say like at the gym or at the store, something like that, and this person's cool. It's probably one of the coolest people you ever met, and they invite you out. So you accept, you get the plans all together, and then you show up to that night to be going out with. And it's a huge party and there's a bunch of people there. Now you're going in that type of setting, not knowing anyone there, you just only really know one person who invited you. How's your reliance going to be looking in that situation? Are you going to rely on that person that brought you there? Are you going to stick by his side the whole time and only wait for his certain gestures to make it okay for you to interact with the party all of itself? Or are you just going to dive right into it? Rely on your own self, rely on your own judgments, believe in yourself. Are you going to act like you're dying and relying on the person who brought you to this social situation? Or are you going to bring life into this party and be the life of the party? Let's go to another situation. Let's just say that you hate where you live and you really can't stand the job that you work within this certain area you live in as well. Basically all around your life is complete dog shit. And you can feel it, but you won't admit to it. Are you just going to keep enduring pain, relying on that job for a paycheck, and keep relying on certain stuff you can buy to fill your living space to make it more entertaining and appealing to you? Snacks, special TVs, video games, LED lights, drugs? Or are you going to snap out of it and convince yourself that you can rely on yourself to make yourself happy? You can rely on yourself to move out of that town, onto a better town that has more of an opportunity for you for enjoyment and happiness, with better job opportunities, bringing more of a life-work balance, with work that is just not complete shit that just drains you like it's a tumor. Discovering such a profound living standard that you become minimalistic, which means you can cook your own food, you can buy a minimal amount of stuff that does not fill your living space as well, that brings just more clutter to you and a lot more perspectives than you would think. How about this one? What if you're just the fucking weirdest person on the planet? You've come to the realization that your certain interests within this life are not quite appealing or very aware to most of society around you. And it's very hard to find other likely people who have the same interest. You're constantly being judged and scoffed at, and you're trying to please those others that are judging you and scoffing at you as they just increasingly keep jabbing their knife deeper and deeper inside of you. And then you're getting away from what really is you, trying to convince others and relying on them not to jab their knives so much deeper into you that you just are completely dead. Your old self is dead. You're not your old self. You're a complete opposite of what really was you. Or are you going to break through that non-existent barrier that is holding you back? You're not going to care what other people are thinking. In fact, you're going to pursue your interest even more harder. you're going to become very educated on those interests. And as you come to find out, naturally, once you do that, you're going to find a lot more enjoyment with you, and you're going to discover more of your true self. Because you have finally come to the realization that you need to depend on yourself to figure out yourself. No one's going to figure out your own self but yourself. You following a crowd and totally copying, getting away from what was judged, is just going to deplete you. It's going to kill you. And what eventually comes to being found out is that one day, once you are totally reliant on discovering who you are and you've discovered it and you're living it out, nothing's really getting in your way. You can go into any type of interaction, situation that goes on within your life, and you're not tilted off of your path. You're undeterred by anything that tries to shove its face in you. In fact, the pushback from your own reliance upon yourself is literally like mosquito repellent within nature. For all the salty individuals who try to convince you. Self-reliance is a thing a man should constantly practice. Constantly practice the actions of it, constantly practicing the feelings of it, and convincing himself that the feelings are enjoyment, that the actions are fulfilling. Realizing that when you go into your world being self-reliant, relying on your own fair judgments and your own actions, that you feel quite unstoppable within a lot of situations within life. Nothing's really going to hold you back because nothing is being reliant to you, because you're reliant on yourself. You do not need to rely on others or other things for your own happiness within this life. If there's something you want to do, go out and do it. If you know that something's going to make you happy, go out and just do it. It doesn't matter if no one wants to do it with you. It doesn't matter if there's certain hoops that are so bizarre to you that you have to jump through that you've never had to jump through before. Because it really does come down to it. If you want to do something that you know will make you happy, and there's nothing holding you back from it, you need to rely on yourself for that fulfillment of happiness. A lot of life is all about taking chances, and with us men, it's natural that we take risks with a lot of stuff within our lives. It's a big aspect of our lives that we use to learn, is taking risks, because we're so physical within our world, because we're big, we're muscular, and we just want to constantly take physical action with it. We want to take stuff apart. We want to see how it works. We want to physically take a risk to discover. That's why we have to know the truth that we need to rely on ourselves. Rely on our fair judgments of our own self. Rely that we have enough confidence in ourselves. Be your own codependent within every aspect that goes on in your life, presently, future, past. I've talked to a decent amount of guys who have called me for an interest of my coaching style, and they have explained to me in how they feel like they do not take enough risk within life. And then I immediately ask them, well, how reliant are you on yourself? Of course, most of them would say that I feel like I'm very reliant on myself. I live on my own, I buy my own food, I take care of myself. But then I dive a little deeper with the questioning, like, well, when you're hesitant about something, are you looking up like 100+ answers on your phone before you take action into something? Or are you convinced yourself within seconds that you can take a risk with this and see how the results play out? And sure enough, a lot of them, with situations like going out and meeting women per se, or going to events by themselves because no one wants to go with them, or just doing activities that they feel like they'd be judged at if they go out and do it in public. These guys would say they'd almost spend half of their day researching information, trying to convince themselves if it's a good idea or a bad idea. And a lot of times, since they're so nervous about partaking in these actions and not relying on themselves to have a good time and enjoy themselves, they ultimately get succumbed to the negative information that is always spewed out about any type of thing on the internet. You need to accept yourself. You need to know what you like. You need to like how you look. You need to enjoy your alone time. You need to live and make your life your own uniqueness. As Wayne Dyer would say is, if you follow the herd, all you're going to do is end up stepping in shit all day. So just remember, or if you struggle with it, be self-reliant. Rely on every aspect of your life with yourself first. Don't go off and follow a crowd that just seems so convincing that you can rely on them, that you're going to end up right on top with those people. You rely on everything they do, every move that they make, because it seems a lot better than what you've got going on. You just haven't discovered your real self yet. You haven't really discovered that true awesome feeling you get from being self-reliant. That fulfillment, that enjoyment. Like I said, you just keep following those crowds. You're just going to keep walking all over their shit they're dropping as they're right in front of you. No, break from that. Rely on your own self. Let those other people smell the shit you're cooking.
Saint Perigine, patron saint of all forms of cancer. We ask you for your help in asking God to heal my cancer and keep it in remission. Pray for me so that I may live a long and faithful life.